Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to the Blind Press YouTube channel. And it is Saturday, which means it is time for some Star Trek talk. And I will be joined by Skep Talk in about 15 minutes. He had just popped on to say that he had to take care of something, and he will be back. Functional too. Hopefully will be joining us. I think he said he had some errands, but he would be doing his best to make it. So that is happening. I figured I would just go live, and they would join as they do. And also, just some show notes. Hammer has taken his leave of the show. There is no bad blood, no hard feelings or anything like that. But it just needs to step away. And so we wish Hammer all the best on his minions on Wednesday nights. And as I said, no hard feelings. But right now, it's just going to be Skep, me, and Functional. We will be scouting for a fourth. So if you know somebody, if that you think would be a good fit, please do suggest someone. I do like to have 4 people. I think it's a good round number. I think it provides good balance of opinion. And even if, we happen to be in agreement on some things, sometimes we agree 2 degrees on things and disagree 2 degrees on things. And it's interesting to have what was I going to say? To have interesting opinions. So if you do know of a 4th person that you think would be a good fit, please suggest them to me, and I will float them by Skep and Functional, and we will carry on with the show. And as they say, the show must go on. Welcome, Costin. Hello. Glad to have you here. So, before we get into talking about character arcs that drove the plot forward, I'm going to quickly talk about Strange New Worlds for a bit because I still have been watching it. And I've been keeping up with it. I've watched the next 2 episodes that we did after the second episode. And the reason that Strange New Worlds annoys me as much as it does is because a lot of it is actually very good. It's very good. It's very reminiscent of Star Trek. There's a lot of science. There's a lot of exploration. There's a lot of, like, this week's episode, we had some good old-fashioned space battle going on. And all of that is completely destroyed by the continuity problems. And I'm not even going to look at the social justice stuff because there wasn't really much of it in this last 2 episodes. But and we do have to, like, Pincalo and I were talking about this, and Pincalo pointed out that, there's been social justice points throughout radio and TV. Like, it's just been a thing. It's always been there. I think it's just because all of us in particular are immured in this anti-SJW sphere of the internet that it really bugs us. So we have to, like, remember to tone all of that down. But The continuity stuff that I'm talking about is really, 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 really bad and problematic, and you can't ignore it. The big 3 or 4 that I'm going to mention, and some of them kind of connect, but one of them is that Una slash number 1 is all of a sudden an Illyrian who I don't think we've ever heard of that race, which is fine. New races are good, especially in a series called Strange New Worlds, where we're trying to find out about new species. But Una is suddenly an Illyrian, and this is a problem because Illyrians are all about genetic modification. And as we know, that's a problem in the Federation. So that's kind of I know we don't know very much about number 1 because we only see her in the cage originally. But still, there's been no reason for us to think that she was not human. And it really felt like they just kind of made her Illyrian for the episode to tell us all that we shouldn't be bigoted and mean. Which, yeah, it felt a little ham-handed. Now, the next continuity problems are very much more canon problems. We've got La'an Noonien Singh. Now, this has been bothering me from the beginning. And as the series goes on, we keep getting more and more clues that she is actually related to Khan Noonien Singh. And this doesn't work for many reasons. I'm going to outline them now. One, we never heard of any other augment colony ship besides the SS Botany Bay, which was discovered in Space Seed, which was an episode from the first season of TOS. Even Khan doesn't mention, when he's awakened, any other colonists except the ones on the ship with him in stasis. You would think if there was another colony ship named the SS Puget Sound, which again is a clue to us that's showing us that they were naming these ships after different bays on Earth. Khan would have asked about it. It would have been there would have been something mentioned, especially if there was a young child, a young child, because La'an has to be his daughter or granddaughter. And that doesn't work because, unless we have literal clones and not, not naturally conceived children here, he still would have been concerned, especially if it was somebody that carried his seed. He was that kind of a megalomaniac. He was an egomaniac. If he had any continuation of his lineage already when he was woken up by Kirk and crew. He would have asked about it. Okay. So this retconning of a younger Noonien Singh before they are put on Tau Ceti 3, I think. Or Tau Alpha C or something like that. The planet that he asks to be left on with McGivers. Lieutenant McGivers. There would, like, this, it doesn't, timeline, it doesn't make sense. Next, we have La'an saying her colony ship was captured by the Gorn. Now, again, no mention in any canon that I've heard of, and I haven't read any of the books yet, but in any canon I've ever heard of, even searching like Memory Alpha, I can't seem to find any mention of anyone before Kirk meeting the Gorn, much less a whole colony ship being taken prisoner and being taken to a breeding planet, where, and like La'an having not like firsthand knowledge of the Gorn. This is, again, timeline, it doesn't work. Especially for this week's episode, this is what really took me out of the episode, because the villain in this week's episode was the Gorn. And it's really looking like they're setting the Gorn up to be the baddie for this season. And that doesn't work. It canonically doesn't make sense. We have no mention of Pike. Like, and yes, this is them establishing that, but there's no, like, they're not even doing it properly. They're not even making it, like, I'm not even sure how they would retcon this properly, but I don't even think you can. And I think that they're showing us that they are capable of writing episodes that have very good Trek feeling atmosphere, as I said, with the science, the space battle, that type of stuff. But this willingness to just pretend that the rest of canon has not happened, like, I understand that this is also dealing with Discovery timeline, but we can't just ignore what's been established already. I mean, why can't we, make new characters and put them into this world? Hello.
I'm sorry, I've had myself muted. How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm just talking about, because I did watch the next 2 episodes of Strange New Worlds.
What do you think?
And I was talking about how the reason I'm so frustrated with it is because I'm being shown that there's capability of producing very Trek-like atmosphere.
And what frustrates you is?
And what frustrates me is that they just don't give a shit about canon or continuity.
Oh, God.
Like,
is that the most unforgivable thing ever?
Yes. Like, I even had a talk with Pincalo And he was like, he pointed out to me, and he's very right, that there's been, some sort of social justice talking point throughout TV history.
Era.
And including Star Trek.
Yes.
So I'm really trying to kind of look past that, because I do have that sensitivity to it because of, the content we watch and produce and all of that, right? So I'm trying to just take all of that off the table as to what bothers me and look at things like continuity and established canon.
Yes.
And I know that this is supposed to be before Kirk, but you cannot just retcon whatever the fuck you want to make your half of an episode, which is already really good, and if you just had the originality to make up some new characters that that would fit into these really very Trekky episodes, especially the last two, like with the virus that travels on light. That was a really cool idea. And this episode was a good old-fashioned space battle. Hide and seek in a brown dwarf. That is so fucking Trek.
Yep.
But
all the way. But good pedigree.
But then you've got the villain is the Gorn, and you're like, no, that doesn't happen yet.
Yes.
You can't
stop retconning our show.
Yeah, you can't put the Gorn as the bad guy. This is supposed to be strange new worlds.
What possessed them to use the Gorn?
I don't know.
Well, I think it was a hackneyed attempt. We're going to do a callback. Okay, here comes the callback.
Yeah, and that's what's bothering, because it says strange new worlds.
Yeah.
But there's no new world.
But they're not taking advantage of the new aspect.
No.
Especially not just in using something like the Gorn, but just in using some of the hackneyed plot devices that
La'an is my other big problem.
How's that?
The problem there are so many problems with her existence.
For instance.
So here's one. In Space Seed, when they wake up Khan, you would think if there was another colony ship out there called the SS Puget Sound, that he, because as much of a megalomaniac as he was, he actually did care about his people. And that was one of the first things he asked about when he woke up. But he only asked about the people on the Botany Bay.
Right. Yeah, of course.
Think if there was somebody out there that carried his name and his bloodline before he met McGivers.
Yes.
And was left on Tau Alpha C.
Right.
You would be asking about that person. Yes?
They didn't see fit to include that, I guess.
And
I don't know.
It just doesn't work.
Yeah.
It doesn't work. And they've already and the more this show goes on, they're establishing that she is an augment. She is a Noonien Singh. She is related to Khan. And It's like, how does anyone know about Khan yet?
Do you find this interesting that Rotten Tomatoes has it rated as average tomato meter of 98%? That's the critics.
Really?
Mm-hmm. What do you think the average audience score is? This is surprising.
I would say maybe I wouldn't put it below 50 because it does still have that
81%.
Yeah, like I'm
81%.
honestly not surprised by that because I am like when I'm watching these episodes, I am like actually watching them. And the like, you know, the
Do you want to hear what the critics' consensus
sure.
was on Strange New Worlds in season one? Strange New Worlds treks across familiar territory to see refreshing effect. Its episodic structure and soulful cast, recapturing the sense of boundless discovery that defined the franchise's roots.
It would if they would give us some new aliens that, you know, we haven't seen in TOS that shouldn't be here because the- like the amount of like it should be more of them, like, because I know that there's colonies established and stuff because Pike wasn't too far before Kirk.
Mm-hmm.
um
No,
but
no,
it
in fact,
should be more, there should be more like, we're going to help bring supplies to this colony and we encounter this new species on the way.
see, here's what I'm picking up from it, and that is that you expect the kind of plot continuity that TNG offered,
Yes.
and I do too, and I don't see it here.
No, no, because TNG gave us new species, but it also said, look, we now have these species that were in TOS, and they're established in the Federation now, or are allied, or are, you know, and they explain how, right?
Yeah,
We don't just see Worf on the Enterprise and don't and get no explanation.
right.
You know, like it's not just like, surprise, there's a
Yeah,
Klingon serving here now. Like, you know, we have the movies to establish what happened. We have all of that. Um, but it feels like like the smart way to do this would be to look at the species that we've, you know, maybe talked about in TOS with some familiarity, but didn't get a chance to establish that.
hmm,
Like, oh, the Romulans,
yeah, okay, exactly.
you know, more Andorians, perhaps more. The Breen run in, maybe a run in with the Breen.
There is a panoply of
Yeah,
aliens and phenomena and interesting things to run into. There's so many hooks they could set with this
yeah,
that that would have appeared to have been picked up by, you know, the James Kirk tenure and the Picard tenure. Uh, you could do all kinds of interesting things, uh, and we're not seeing any of that. But
no,
this is a pretty typical statement about Strange New Worlds. It says that, and from a review, it appears, and I state this tentatively, given the track record of this creative team, and I love that Star Trek may finally be returning to its roots, to what always made it unique amongst science fiction shows. I'm talking about a family of professionals who work smoothly together, who care deeply for one another, and treat each other with respect. Family of professionals who are the best of the best, who have each other's backs when it comes to dealing with the threat, problem, dilemma of the week. Star Trek at its core was never really action oriented. I actually disagree with the critic there.
yeah,
Sure, there were great action scenes and fantastic plots. He contradicts himself, but it was always about how this group of people we got to know and care about handle the situation, the moral and ethical guidelines of their futuristic society and of the Federation. Those were central points too. But it takes skilled writers to find tension and drama and intellectual intrigue outside of the usual soap opera-like conflict between the main characters, and so that's what other new Trek shows and movies have resorted to. You know, and he lists Star Trek Discovery and Picard there,
Yeah.
and says the Strange New Worlds pilot shows potential for having refocused on us getting to know the senior officers. I can name more of the bridge crew from SNW after one episode than I can from Disco after 4 seasons. Love that he calls it Disco.
That's true.
I just hope that the writers are capable of maintaining this standard and don't slip back in their old ways. Time will tell. So that's kind of where I am, except I'm not as positive.
I see. I was feeling a little bit crazy about my position about
Mhm.
Strange New Worlds, and then I watched Doomcock's review, and that's what I sent you on Discord.
Mhm.
2 videos. And I felt much less crazy after that
Really.
because I felt like I felt like I was not hallucinating because I there were parts of it that really felt like Trek, and then there were parts of it that are just like, no, that doesn't work.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
so it's so extreme on both sides that it's jarring when
Yeah.
it happens. Like when it's good, it's really good.
You want to
And
know I agree with you. It has some hopeful points, but here's what I see the long term problem, and it has to do with the people writing and directing the show more than it has to do with anything else, as it always would.
yes.
And that is that they're getting a lot of positive reviews doing what they're doing. I don't think the show is going to change much in quality. They're gonna, shovel up a, a a load of the SOS, same old stuff,
Yeah.
and plop it on your plate and say, be happy with your lot. And a lot of people are going to write them 5-star reviews and they'll look good on Rotten Tomatoes. And this will be, I think this is going to end up being mediocre at best. It feels, honestly, I'm not thrilled to be watching this. I'm not, I usually am very happy to watch Star Trek. Everything about Star Trek makes me happy, particularly um, TOS and
Mhm.
DS9, and to an extent, and to a great extent, TNG when the Crusher family isn't involved. And
Yeah,
but
it's just
anyway,
it's very frustrating, and it's
yeah, so I'm
very
kind of down.
yeah. It doesn't make you happy watching it because you're just like
No,
you're you're like, "Oh, this is good. Oh, wait, that's a huge continuity problem. Oh, this
yeah,
is also good. Oh, wait, that's a wow, okay."
wait a
You
minute, that can't possibly be true because something happened in TOS season 2
yeah,
completely contradicts that. So
yeah.
kryptonite doesn't work on Romulans. Whatever it happens to be.
So I was thinking about arcs, character arcs that kind
Mhm,
of drove plots forward.
mhm.
And this might be an unpopular opinion, but I think that Quark kind of his arc ended up kind of pushing some of the story forward.
Like how would you say that?
Um, there were not just because there were a lot of Quark centered episodes, but because of what happened in them.
Because I
Um,
agree with you. I think he grew over
yes,
the course of DS9 from a truly superficial creature who cared about nothing but the next uh the next deal,
yeah,
basically the next arrangement whereby he could get his get some kind of reward.
yeah,
And um he's this two-dimensional stereotype of what they imagine a future small businessman, cheesy small businessman would be.
yeah,
And in the course of that series, he actually develops a conscience, shows some courage, has to make some moral decisions of real import, and at the end of it, he has a little bit of a heart,
Yeah.
and he's shown some responsibility. It makes him so much more believable and enjoyable. I really did not like him at first,
No.
and I had not watched DS9 really. I'd seen a few episodes before I met you,
Yeah.
and you said no, you gotta get your mind right, boy.
When
But
I was
you did.
when I was
You
little,
got me into it, and once you get into about 3 or 4 episodes of that, and
yeah,
you start following the characters. You talk about character arcs. DS9, in my humble opinion, is the king of character arcs of all
agreed.
the Star Trek franchises.
Agreed. Agreed. Because it didn't really Kirk didn't arc until the movies.
Kirk is Kirk.
And he
Kirk,
didn't even really arc that much.
no, he's the Kirk bot.
He's Kirk, you know. He's just Kirk.
You are the Kirk.
Yeah, you are the creator.
You are the creator.
um,
Lander.
but yeah,
Yeah.
it's
All right.
definitely DS9 was definitely the arc series.
Yep. Yeah,
Um,
you really see some development of other people in DS9
and it gave
too.
some of the side characters a chance, like
Yes,
O'Brien. Like it
O'Brien, perfect
gave
example.
O'Brien a chance to become more than Chief O'Brien.
Hmm.
Because you saw glimpses of it in TNG, especially in the episode. Oh shit, I can't remember. I think it's called The Wounded, when his former captain kind of goes AWOL, and
Yeah.
and he has to help Picard bring him in, and there are Cardassians on the ship, and we kind of see the you know what the memories of the Cardassian war that O'Brien is struggling with, but we don't really get to see a full character development of Miles until DS9. And I was glad that they gave Miles that character arc.
What do you think about Odo's character arc?
I think that it was a very good arc, but I also think that there's nobody else that could have done it
No
than
kidding.
Rene Aubergenois.
He was well, he's just a phenomenal actor. Period. Dot. But I agree. I can't see any other person doing that, and it wasn't because his writing was great, because the writing for his character was not always great,
No,
in my
that
opinion.
wasn't.
And they gave him short shrift sometimes, but he put so much meaning and intelligence and emotion. He could convey so much by the way he said things, or just a gesture, that his part was bigger than its writing.
Yeah.
I like that.
Like there's and a perfect example of that is in the very first episode when you see him with Quark, and he's questioning Quark, and Cisco comes in and just lays the hammer down
Hmm.
on Quark and leaves. And just that one line that Odo delivers, and to think, I was worried I wasn't going to like him. It's just
Just conveys so much.
perfect. It's just perfect. And
Yes.
nobody else could do that.
Right.
Nobody else could deliver it like that sarcastic, deadpan.
Deadpan. Absolute deadpan. Just perfect. Yep. Yep. Yeah. I had forgotten about that line. That is a great one.
Yeah.
Um.
Odo's
The
arc
other
was
thing.
good, they didn't stick the landing, says Pete. Yeah.
Oh, with the ending of DS9.
No, he said Odo's arc was good, but they didn't stick the landing.
Oh yeah, and I wasn't happy with that either.
Yeah.
Yeah. because I think they stuck the landing on the series.
They did, yeah.
They absolutely nailed a bullseye. But Miles O'Brien was,
I think the one person they failed to arc with, though, was Julian. Because
yeah, yes,
he's just such an idiot.
Well, Bashir, that was part of the problem was the way that Siddig played that
Yeah.
character. He was so over the top.
Yeah.
He played it so over the top that I found myself saying, "Okay, give it some time. Give it some time. This might get well. This might get well." And he is one of my least favorite characters actually on DS9 because there are those cringe moments.
Yeah.
It's too bad because he's in the middle of some very interesting plots.
Like, he didn't really get good until Odo was dying and he found Section 31.
Yeah.
And then, like, there was a couple of good scenes where he was like, especially when he's talking to the Admiral. And he just keeps ending every question with Admiral, like the way he just.
Yes.
And I'm like, why couldn't you be doing this 6 goddamn seasons ago?
Right.
Why did it take you until halfway through season 7?
I forgot about that. Yeah.
To get this good. What is wrong with you?
Yeah. But, having characters like Garak, even Garak had a character arc.
Oh, yeah. Oh, he had a great character arc, too.
Are you kidding? Yeah. This Cardassian, he's an Obsidian Order guy.
Yeah. Like the worst
just
of the
scary
worst guy. Like
bad, yeah. Total badass, scary as hell.
Yeah.
And you never really know, who is it who says that he's a very dangerous man with a treacherous mind or something like that?
Yeah.
And he is that. He was it was supposed to be a one-off character, and the Robinson, the guy who said that he portrayed the character in the episode for the simple fact that he needed money for that month to pay his bills.
Oh, wow.
The producers were impressed with his performance and decided to develop the character after Robinson agreed to return. So they asked him back. He was going to be a one-shot deal.
That's crazy.
Yeah. And the decision to incorporate Garak into more of the series led to Garak becoming a pivotal character, transforming him into a character of importance with unusual complexity and resonance, which is exactly my opinion too.
Yes, he did a great job.
Interesting thing, his portrayal was interpreted as Garak being homosexual, and Robinson denied that his portrayal was intended to portray Garak as a homosexual and stated that he was omnisexual. So I don't know what that means. As a result of the controversy, Robinson removed that particular characteristic from Garak, though, from then on. And actually, what he said about it, he said, I was just going to let me just read this last quote, and I'll shut up about it. I had planned Garak not as a homosexual or heterosexual, but omnisexual. And the first episode I had with Bashir played that way, gave people fits. So I had to remove that characteristic from it.
I could see him as a bisexual, which I think is what omnisexual is supposed to be.
Yeah, I think you're right.
I could see Garak as playing for both teams.
Yeah, omnisexual kind of implies you like, I don't know, sex with octopuses. I don't know.
What's an omni and how does he have sex?
I don't know. It means overall. Yeah, it comes from the root for overall, and it is absolutely a weird characterization. But he changes from somebody we don't know much about to a really complicated character.
Oh,
and the complexity of his character came as much uh, from some of the lies that he told, but also his refusal to elaborate on himself.
Yes.
He lives in the subtext. Uh, the it's like the iceberg. The
Yeah.
substance of Garrett is what you don't hear him say.
Yes. I'm just a tailor. I'm just a simple tailor.
I'm just a tailor. You know.
Anyone else feel like Kira uh, pretty much started where she or began the series? If she had an arc, it went in a circle. Oh yeah, Kira.
Oh God,
Kira
Kira.
had no. I would say had no arc. Because
She,
like the only thing that may have helped her have a character arc was her relationship with Odo.
yeah,
And
yeah.
like Odo was the one that was helping her arc. It was
Too bad she didn't catch the acting bug from Renee.
yeah.
She just uh, when somebody just reads their lines, when that's what they think acting is, and I'm sorry, that's my take on Kira.
That's what Anna Visitor did, yeah. I really wish that Michelle Forbes had agreed to
Take the part.
take the part because
There's so many good actresses who could have done a better job
well,
with
and
that. And
even
think how important a Bajoran on DS9 is.
yeah,
Hello,
I
you know
would
that.
have I would have wished that instead of killing Ensign Sito in TNG,
Mhm.
that Ensign Sito would have defected
No,
instead of Ro.
instead of Row. Yeah,
And then Ro, um, because of her work on the Enterprise,
right.
would have been promoted to DS9. That's what I wish would have happened
We all wish something
because
different
I
would have
could
happened.
see Ro as Cisco's first officer.
I wish Bashir was the biggest problem with DS9, but he's not.
No, he's not.
Kira is
It's
the biggest
definitely
problem, and
Kira.
and the thing is, Bajor is so important in that series, and she just steps in the way every time it's a
And she
Bajor
was
plot.
falling in love with the freaking ministers. What the fuck
Oh,
is that?
that was just plain
I
weird.
thought I thought they were supposed to be religious and like
Chaste and
chaste and like
all that
why are
jazz.
the ministers so hoary and sleeping with the Starfleet liaison?
Oh, that's all the sex posy stuff, sex positive stuff that was, all the rage back then, and now it's just sad. So
I
I
just
don't
think
know.
the space Jew and the morph guy would have boned. The sexual tension was what Quark and Odo? No, no, that wouldn't have worked. That just would not have worked. but I did like the episode that was one of the episodes that was an arc for Quark is the one where him and Odo get stranded.
Mhm.
And at one point they're both screaming at how much they hate each other.
Yeah.
It was
See, I'm just reading through chat here. Grill and Pirate Pete says that Odo's arc was good, but they did not stick the landing. Agreed. Anyone else feel Kira ended up at the end pretty much where she started? Yeah, if she had an arc that formed a circle, absolutely. Okay, that's what you were reading. I'm
and
sorry.
then there was and then they had to kill off Jadzia. Why did they have to kill off Jadzia?
That hurt me. That just hurt me.
I agree. That like she was awesome. And then we had freaking Esri. I just don't like Esri Dax.
I refuse to recognize that as a proper Dax.
Agree.
I have not formally recognized that Dax. Jadzia Dax is the only Dax I recognize.
Lauren had more of an arc than Kira.
Not wrong. You're not wrong, Pete.
That was good. That was that. And if I would also posit that, and I know one of the popular characters to pick for like Voyager would be Seven, because her arc definitely pushed the episode or the story forward. But I would also say that B'Elanna pushed the story forward. Yes. I would say that her arc also helped push the story forward a bit.
I think I agree with that. Yeah.
A few episodes that come to mind are the Day of Honor episode, when she's it's supposed to be her, her Day of Honor, and she ends up having to dump the warp core and her and Tom have to go and get it. But it's her struggle with her Klingon heritage and her feelings for Tom and her temper, and it's a good episode.
Yeah. It's very human.
Yes, it's very human. And then we have the episode just after the Year of Hell, where where her brain is almost scrambled because of her angry thoughts. That pushes the story forward. And it's also a good standalone episode to deal with how alien culture deals with criminal action. And then there's the Juggernaut episode where they run into the Malon freighter that's leaking all the waste. And they're claiming that there's like some creature loose on the ship, and she's the one that actually ends up saving everybody and talking because there actually is a creature. He's one of the workers from the waste section, and he's basically been mutated. And she ends up talking him down and preventing him from killing her and the other crew or the other people on the ship. And it just like it arcs, like her arc, it does help push the story forward. And I like that, like, because Seven gets so much time, when it's a B'Elanna episode, it's kind of a nice change from somebody like from Seven. Like I think that's why I like characters like Tom and B'Elanna and Harry Kim, because when they do get an episode that pushes their story forward, it's not only pushes their story forward, but they just happen to be good episodes. So it's good both ways. And sometimes you get episodes that are, double character arcs, like the Body and Soul episode with that both arc Doc and Seven.
Yeah. That is one of my favorite episodes.
I love that episode
I love that so much.
Oh, great episode.
There is so much chemistry between Doc and Seven. So much content, for two fine actors to just take advantage of in that.
For sure.
Oh my God. I just, in fact, I'm going to watch it again tonight if I have time before Harry's stream.
I think I need to just rewatch all of the original Trek series just as a palate cleanser. Because like, especially after the ending of the second season of Picard, like
Yeah.
I felt so let down because that season started off so well.
Yeah.
And like, yes, there was a kind of a dip in the middle, but the 6th, 7th, and 8th episodes were just great.
Yep.
And then we got the last two, and I was like, wow, like that. If I like it, I don't think I had ever felt kicked in the guts by a show before.
Yeah.
But I really did feel like, because I don't think there was a need for them to actually kill Q. I really don't. Like, if you want to say, like, there was a way for Q to tell Picard that he was lonely and needed friends, and maybe that loneliness was affecting his powers for a bit, but he, like, when Picard passed the test, and figured it out, like, and Q could have said, okay, Picard, now um I'm I'm finally, I'm gonna leave you alone now. Now what I was doing. Um, take these lessons I've given you and go forth, basically.
Yeah.
They didn't have to kill
And
him.
him. Yeah.
And that really felt like a fuck you.
And a loss of a real asset.
Agreed.
A loss of real asset. And when the overweight lesbian of color Q emerges, and it will,
Mm-hmm.
we'll glumly accept it and say, boy, this new Trek is great.
Yeah. Or as Undoomed says, Shart Trek. Or Doomcock says, Shart Trek.
Mm-hmm.
And the phony prize.
Shark Trek. Well said.
And Shart Trek and the phony prize. And Smirk. He calls him Smirk instead of Spock.
Well, he did have kind of a lopsided when he smiled.
No.
He has kind of a lopsided smile, does Leonard Nimoy. And that's a unfortunately it's a purely visual in such a detail it may not make it into the described video. But I forget which side it's amazing. I've only been watching it for 50 years. And I don't know which. I think he pulls the right side of his lip up a little higher than the left side, and it looks a little smirky.
I
I
do have
know.
to say, though, that the blind engineer, Hemmer,
Yeah.
he's growing on me.
I don't know. A blind person could never be an engineer.
Yeah, they've never done that before,
They've
ever.
never done that before.
I didn't like how they introduced him. I didn't like how
I'm having a problem with that whole thing. I'm sorry. I'm just not loving it at all.
But I do like the actor. And
what do you like about him?
I like his delivery of his lines. I like his interaction with Spock.
Mm.
I do have a problem with this Spock. He's not
Huge
as horrible
problem.
as Zachary Quinto,
but it's still awful.
He's still pretty bad.
Awful is the word you're looking for.
He's like I said, he's not Zachary Quinto awful, but he's awful.
Yeah.
But again, follow Leonard Nimoy, and
you can't.
That
was definitional, and I think they might have been better to have left Spock out of it.
Or at least, like, well, because we know that Spock was Pike's science officer.
I know that's the problem.
But
That's a huge problem.
Yeah, but I mean, like,
even
as
so,
as I said, if it has to be somebody, I mean, at least it's this guy, because
he wasn't always Pike's science officer.
no, we don't know when he became Pike's science officer, but
Right. Might have been jumped on at the last minute, for one voyage, and there you go.
yeah.
And they could have done something like that, and then maybe even ended the series with, oh, Captain Pike, that new Vulcan science officer is reporting aboard.
Yeah.
and which would be a super thing for an ending episode type thing, right?
Yeah.
Just a little present for the people who love that franchise. But it occurs to me that in all this, that they're not really writing this for people like me who started watching it, in the 1960s, but they're writing it for the people who are 15 years old now.
Yeah.
15 to 25 years old. And in order to do that, you have to have a Marvel Universe cruise in space. This is their time to develop the same love for these characters and these shows that we developed for, Star Trek, TOS, and TNG and DS9.
That's true. I just wish that they understood that they had the ability to make it enjoyable.
Well, what I'm kind of getting at is that they feel like they can't be bound too much by heritage. They want the creative freedom to, write new characters that they believe will stand on their own. I mean, like it or not, the Spock here is essentially a new character. He has some Spock-like characteristics, but other than that, no, he's a different character.
Yeah. with a sister.
Yeah.
Who has disappeared into a wormhole. Goddamn Discovery. Anyway, that brings us to the end of the show, my friends, and I thank you guys for watching.
Thank you guys.
I know I was supposed to be on Twitch last night, but Pincalo and I just got to talking, so and then I was like, oh shit, it's midnight. So I will be doing Beat the Blind Girl tonight, and also Skep Talk will be doing Minions with the Harry channel tonight and on Tuesday.
Yay.
And it is Wednesdays with Skep coming up this Wednesday. So yay. Be sure to catch me on Monday. We will be back with Blindness and Media. I've got one more Shadow episode dealing with a blind character. So we'll be looking at that. So all of that coming up. Thank you for watching, everybody. I hope you have a good Saturday evening, and we will see you later.
Bye, everybody.